Hello, my name is Paul Neighbour and welcome to this Project Professional Qualification from the APM. You can think of the Project Professional Qualification as a bridge between the PMQ, the Project Management Qualification, and CHPP. It provides you with that advanced technical knowledge that's required as part of the CHPP process. So if we look at the topics that we're going to cover, many of these you will have met before, such as leadership, budgeting control, planning, cost control, earned value, etc. There's a couple of new topics, problem solving and decision taking, but fundamentally there's no new knowledge here. What's different is you have to apply this knowledge to a case study provided by the APM. And they want you to be able to analyse or evaluate that case study to identify what would be the best way of applying these principles of project management to that case study. So, if you have this qualification, how does it help you get your CHPP? Well, what you need to demonstrate in addition to this qualification is three things. First, you need your professional practice, which demonstrates in real life that you've applied these things, these competencies, to projects that are reasonably complex. The second thing is you need a record of CPD, and the third thing is you need to agree to a code of ethics. Now, the feedback we get from candidates for CHPP is the most difficult thing is the advanced technical knowledge, and that's what you're going to get as part of this course. So, what's the course look like? So basically it's going to be an e-learning course that we're going to provide lectures that are going to take you through the theory, and then if you're coming on a tutor-led course, we'll then provide you guidance on how to assess the case studies and feedback on your written answers. So you get loads of material, as you always do with Paolo. We've written a study guide that has actually got fantastic feedback from the APM. We're going to provide you with sample case studies, sample questions, and then we're going to point you at other resources such as the APM blog and some of our blog posts that will fill in some of the knowledge gaps that you may have. Right, the three things that we really need you to get you to understand as part of this course are these key words: critically analyse, critically evaluate, and demonstrate. So what do these mean? Critical analysis means to break down something and compare it to theory. So you have to come up with some theories, principles, tools or techniques from project management and use those to understand what's going on in a case study. The difference is with critical evaluate is that you need to do that analysis and then make a recommendation, as you would to your senior management team. You know, I would recommend that we improve our risk management by doing this. The other thing is the assessment, as we're going to see in a minute, is got some practical elements where you do a role play. So the assessors will act as a senior sponsor and then you have to have a conversation with them about the case study. Now, I know everybody loves role plays, but if you're well founded in the case study and you understand the principles of project management, you'll be fine. So let's look at these in more detail. So critical analyse requires you to identify a minimum of 2 relevant theories and then use those relevant theories to break down what's in the case study. So you could phrase, say for instance, when analysing risks, I would have used a risk identification technique, and in this case I could have done brainstorming, I could have done checklists, or could have done a Delphi study, but actually in this case brainstorming was good because it got the team together. And you need to talk about the pros and cons of each of those techniques. So that's fairly similar to evaluate. Again, we have to pull up a number of theories, tools and techniques. But this time we have to make a recommendation. So, you know, in this case I could have done brainstorming, checklists or Delphi to identify the risks in this project. But considering that there's some novel elements and the team's not worked before together, then I think it would be really useful to do some brainstorming. And then maybe I will go and consult some experts and use a partial Delphi technique as well. So you need to explain the rationale why you think that method is the best method for this project. So I hope that's clear. You're going to get loads of practice of these two things: critically analyse and critically evaluate as we go through the course. And if you get the hang of these, then you will be fine for your qualification. So demonstrate is where there's role play. So the assessors will act as a key role and they'll have a conversation about an issue that's come up in the project, or they'll talk about a change request, or maybe a complaint from a stakeholder. You know, one of the senior managers from HR has complained that you're not doing this project as I expected. What are you going to do about it? And it's all about using change management and issue management and risk management to understand the problem and come up with a recommendation for the next step. The assessment is in 3 parts. The first is role play. So this role play will last 20 minutes. And in this role play, you will play the role as project manager and I'll be the sponsor. And I'll ask you to deal with a situation that's come up within the project. So the key thing here is they're looking to use the principles of project management. Maybe it's a change, maybe it's an issue, maybe it's a risk that's come up. And you need to sort of identify and assess and plan how you manage that change, risk or issue. The second assessment is an oral examination. So here they will ask you some questions. I'm going to go through typical questions as part of this course, and I'll say, could you critically analyse leadership as part of this case study? And you'll have to discuss the leadership, and you have to refer to what a good leader would look like in the APM's model, and what attributes the leader in this case study did and what they didn't do, and what's the strengths and weaknesses of different approaches to leadership. So the key thing here, they're looking for 2 tools, techniques or theories that can support your answer. And then the final assessment is a written report, and I think this is probably the hardest. So this is a 60-minute, probably about 1,200 words report that you write for senior management, which will ask you to critically analyse or critically evaluate the case study. Usually 3 questions, and it'll ask you to look at the way they're controlling changes and make recommendations for how it could be better done. There you have to refer to 2 theories, tools and techniques in coming up with your answer. So they're not asking you to jump straight to the answer, they're asking you to compare and contrast the principles of project management and reflect on those and how they could be applied to the case study. So I think the main learning part of this course is that critical analysis, looking at the case study, understanding what's going on, using the principles of project management as defined in the body of knowledge to navigate to a solution that deals with the problem as a project manager would. So 3 to 4 weeks before you start the course, we will send you the case study. You then have a 3-day course, and then having completed this course, I then suggest you plan a target date for your assessment. Having planned your target date, you can then book your assessment with the APM, and you will get the case study 4 weeks in advance. There's nothing that says you can't work with other members of the course as a learning set to review and work on that case study, and then you sit down and take that assessment. Now currently that assessment is being done online, and that assessment will be completed within 1 day, and then hopefully you'll get the result that you want. Now, if you're really keen, you could book your assessment before the 3-day course. There's nothing to say you can't do that. But I think for many people, it might be useful to evaluate where you are after having taken the course and then go to the APM and book your assessment. So that was a brief introduction to the course. The main thing I want you to take away are these critically analyse, critically evaluate and demonstrate command verbs that you have to demonstrate as part of the assessment. So now let's move on to the next topic.